I can remember the moment when I started to visualize me not being in the world. And I thought, why? Why am I still breathing? Why am I still just putting up with all this pain?
I can remember being pregnant, locking myself in the bathroom, sitting on the floor, and just thinking, what would it take to end all of this? I don't think anybody knew how bad it was.
So I grew up in a very small town, very small church. My whole family lived on farms, and we spent a lot of time outside, really wanting to always just spend my time with God. And I can remember just going outside, getting away from it all, and just singing. Meanwhile, my family was just completely shattered. It was complete turmoil. I was about 7 years old when it came to a head, and like when I really started noticing it. I can remember just depression and drugs and deceit, all of that just ripping my family to shreds. The next couple years, I think I started to lose my trust in God. I started looking to others for what I thought was pleasure and that comfort that I had known from Him before, but I couldn't feel it around me in the middle of all of this turmoil.
I was 18, ran away, got married. Very quickly I found out I was pregnant, and by the time I was 19, I had been married, had a baby, and divorced, which was definitely not where I thought I'd be. So I worked 3 jobs as a single mom to do everything I could to take care of myself and my son. By chance, I just happened to have a friend that offered to take me to church. The more I went, the more things progressed, and my friend became my husband. Then I found myself back in the cycle of being pregnant and not understanding and not having a full concept of what it was like to really have somebody love you. And so what I knew is what I reverted to. And so I would pick fights and I would try for all the anger because that's what I knew.
I can remember being pregnant, locking myself in the bathroom, sitting on the floor, and just thinking, what would it take to end all of this?
So I just kept searching in the wrong places, and I kept searching with people. And I thought if I could just find the right people, maybe they could help me. And it turned into this cycle of just constantly searching for it in men. I was like, maybe if I give them this, like they'll somehow help me. Well, I started realizing what I had been doing. I started becoming aware of how worthless I felt. I had given these people everything that I thought I had, and it wasn't enough. And why wasn't it enough? Because I wasn't enough. And that's when I was introduced to drugs. I found what I thought was gonna be my peace. I found it in Xanax, and it just numbed everything. The drugs were an escape. They took my thoughts and just silenced them. Whatever all of this was that I was feeling, I didn't want to feel that. I wanted to be far away from that.
And just as I thought, we were definitely moving forward, I found out I was pregnant again. I just didn't know how to cope with all of that. I reverted right back to the anger and the fighting, and so I struggled. And of course, in my highs and my lows, my marriage also suffered, and we had gone through probably the roughest patch up to that point. Christopher was on deployment. In my mind, I was done. I was gonna be that traditional military wife. I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm packing up while you're gone, and you can try and find me. I was that hurt, I was angry. Every time I went to start packing things up, I knew it wasn't right. So, I stayed and I stuck it out, and 1 month turned into 2, turned into 4. Some holidays were in there. It was so hard to realize, why is it me again that's having issues?
I left everything behind. I packed up my car. I sold all of my things. I moved to St. Louis. I met my husband, Sean, 2 weeks after I moved there. Things started to seem like they were getting better without all of the drugs, without all of the numbing. I broke. I actually started to devise a plan in my head to just end it all. I was done. I was just completely done. My brother came over one night. He said, "We're gonna pray." I didn't think it was gonna help. I was doing it just to appease him. I'll never forget, we were all standing in our kitchen and he just grabbed all of our hands. As he was praying, I can just remember feeling like everything might be okay. I just knew I wanted more of that. It was something that I maybe didn't have to physically do anything for once. I wasn't the one who had to fix everything.
I ran home, had my cigarettes in my hand. God just spoke to me at that moment. "This is what you're doing, you're hiding again." And I was like, okay, if you're real, if you can really make a change and make a difference, then do it. And a week later, a month later, a year later, there was never that desire. And I was like, wow, okay, maybe you are for real. Looking back at being 19 and being a single mom, I didn't ever think that I would find a place where I could say that I had been married for 27 years. I wouldn't trade any of it because I know that we would end up here.
It was actually a process of letting go. He reveals more and more. This was never his plan, but he can work with it, and he's slowly shown me the beauty in all those broken places, and that I don't have to be ashamed for the way that I felt. It doesn't hold me down anymore. He makes everything new again. I don't even feel like the same person that I was then. And it's kind of amazing.